Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGenEd. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts, like the chart behind me, which is of GameStop, ticker symbol GME. And so I am recording this during market hours on Monday, March 24th, the day before GameStop reports their earnings, I believe in the after hours on Tuesday the 25th. And currently, during market hours on Monday, GameStop is trading at a price of $25.42, being up about 2.75%. But that number is going to be changing. And so I wanted to dive into the chart a little bit and then also go over some unusual whales data that was looking pretty exciting. I wanted to do a video on GameStop over the weekend. I just didn't have time, and those numbers are still looking pretty good, so did want to dive into them. But anyways, here looking at the daily chart, what we can see is that on Friday, March 21st, GameStop had this pretty nice green candle going up about 5.25% on the day, beginning the day below this pink line here, which is the 21-day moving average, and then closing above, but being below the 200-day moving average, which is in blue here at a price of right around $25.12. But one thing you might notice is that where we're currently trading, we are above that 200-day moving average at, like I said, $25.12, but it does look like we are potentially getting rejected from the yellow line there, which is the 50-day moving average, which is currently at $25.80. The high for the day so far was $25.83, and it does look like we are putting in a bit of a spinning top, or, it depends on where we close, a doji up there with a wick to the upside and downside and open and not yet close, but wherever we close at, there's potential that this is going to be a doji or maybe an inverted hammer, maybe a hammer candle if we close up here. Who knows? Because the day is not over yet, but it does look like we could be getting rejected from that 50-day moving average. So good to be cautious about that. And, with earnings coming up, it is also, a little bit of a gamble there. But there are some levels that I think that we might be pulling back to as, we are putting in a higher high here. But the volume, like I said, though, the day is not over. So the volume may exceed what we saw on Friday. But on Friday, we saw a volume of 6.89 million shares traded, whereas so far today, on Monday, we've only seen about half of that volume traded so far, and we've got about let's see, 2.5 hours left in trading for the day. So considering that more than half of the day is over, it does seem like we're going to be ending the day likely with lower volume, with a higher high up here. So that does suggest some weakness and does suggest a pullback. And so if I do throw up the drawings that I have here, there is a level that I think we could be pulling back to that is not yet up on the chart. But I did want to draw your attention to this red dashed line here at $23.41. That is Roaring Kitty's average based on his last Reddit YOLO update. His average was $23.41. So we are now trading above that level, and it does look like, as I had talked about before, that we might be pulling back to that level. And we actually came back to this purple uptrend, which I find to be really intriguing. I had drawn that going back in time to the lows that we hit following the big move in May. And so the lows that we saw on May 24th, that was at a price of $17.70. And then I have the other pivot point being that low from August 5th when markets gapped down last year. We saw a low for GameStop of $18.73. So just connecting those two pivot points, that's how I get that purple uptrend. It had acted as support over here, and then we did get a retest of it. So I find that to be pretty compelling that that bottom is in there in my view. And also, I do have this white line here, the 786, marked at $21.69, being a fun number there. And that is the 786 from this retracement here, going from the low hit on April 16th of 2024, which was $9.95, going up to that market hours high hit on May 14th. That was at a price of $64.83. So, a confluence of levels there. It does look like we have bounced, and I suspect we will not be revisiting 2169. And actually, the low that we saw was 2156. I do have this Fibonacci extension to the downside at $20.34 based on this extension here, but I'm actually going to delete that because I don't think we're going below 2169 again. But if we do pull back, there is one level that I think could be acting as support, and that's just going to be based on a Fibonacci retracement. So going from that low of 2156 up to whatever the high is going to be for today. And currently it looks like it's, I need to adjust that by a penny. Currently the high is $25.83. And so the level that stands out to me as being a potential, pullback level is going to be the 50% retracement. That would be pulling back to around $23.70. And the reason why I think we could be pulling back to that level is, like I had mentioned, does look like maybe a spinning top or doji up here with lower volume. And that could be suggesting that this gap up that we're seeing here might be getting filled. And if we do pull back some, if maybe earnings aren't as good as we would like, with those earnings being reported tomorrow in the after hours, maybe we get a pullback to 2370 corresponding with this bit of consolidation here. I think that could then be acting as support, but perhaps we don't get all the way down to 2370, as we do have that 21-day moving average there at 23.89. So maybe we get a pullback to around $24 a share, which from current price, that would be a drawdown of, let's see, about 6%. And so maybe that would be a nice dip buying level if we do pull back. But finding support at that 200-day moving average, I think that's pretty key. So really, if we're closing below that level, below 25.12, either today or tomorrow before earnings, if we're closing below it, I think that we're coming down to around 24. If we're able to maintain closes above 25.12, then I think that it's likely that we're going higher. And if we do look over at the unusual whales data, that data does suggest, that bulls are going long. And actually, so this is looking at the 1 day. And so that is for today, March 24th. But actually, the thing that was standing out to me, I saw over the weekend, and that was over here. We saw that on Friday, we saw this net call premium in green going up, and it actually ended the day right around $1 million increase in net call premium. That suggests that people are buying calls going long, and that, upside moves are expected. We also saw net put premium going down on Friday, which ended the day by, negative $118,000, almost negative $120,000. And so that suggests selling of puts, whereas the increase in net call premium suggests buying of calls. So that was looking good. Wanted to go over that over the weekend. I just didn't have time. But then so looking at the data for just today, what we can see again is net put premium coming down here, that being negative, and currently being at negative $583,000, so more negative than it was on Friday. And what we can see in green is that net call premium is up by more than $1 million. Currently, it looks like $1.19 million. It did get up to about, 1.63 million, around the high 1.64. But then we did start to see it pull back some, but still over $1 million going long, net call premium increasing, backed by this increase in volume. So, I think that's looking good. But if we do start to see the stock price in yellow here come back more and it close below 25.12 or definitely below 25, then I would think we might be seeing a rollover to around 24. And I should note what is up here from Unusual Whales: earnings expected on March 25th in the after hours. And based on the options data, the expected move is a 9.3% move either to the upside or downside, which be an increase or a decrease of about $2.38 or $2.38. So do be prepared for some volatility, whether that's, again, to the upside or the downside. And then if we do look over at the Greeks over here, we can take a look at the max pain for this upcoming Friday for GameStop. We can see that for the 28th, max pain is $24 a share, like I talked about with this retracement here being right around 24, also corresponding with that 21-day moving average. So good to keep that in mind. Be cautious that we could be seeing a downside move, or at least there be some pressure from market makers to kind of suppress the stock price. But if it does start to rally following earnings, if max pain does reside here lower than current price, that could potentially trigger a gamma squeeze or a gamma ramp. However, with next week, so Friday closing on April 4th, we see that the max pain is $25 a share, which is currently below current price. But if we do start to pull back some, that is, a higher max pain. So that could, start to really suppress the price. If we do see somewhat of a pullback, especially with April 11th, the max pain being $23, the following week 24 for monthly contracts, April 17th, and then 23 the following couple weeks. And then actually in June and July, it looks like it's 20. So that's pretty crazy. So yeah, just looking at the chart, thinking about all of that, what would be really, really good is for us to start to see some closes above the 50-day moving average at 25.80, but currently that does look like it is acting as resistance. So do keep an eye out for that. If we are going to be pulling back to fill this gap here, let's see, the closing price on Friday, March 21st, was at $24.75. So if we do pull back to fill that gap there, I think that's not the best look, and that we're coming down to 24. But if we're able to hold above that, hold above the 200-day at 25.12, or, definitely getting closes above 25. And if we get closes above 25.83, I think that we could really start to see this move, maybe getting back up to around the $34 to $35 range, getting back into 30s. So I think that's looking really good. But yeah, as far as the downside goes, I think the bottom's in at 21.56. Don't think we're going back to 21.69, but I do think it is possible in time we might be retracing to that purple uptrend. But I think Roaring Kitty's average stands between current stock price and that level. I think that's going to be holding as support. And I think that a minimum, or at a maximum, we come down to 23.70. So I think we're looking good. I think a pullback to 24 is going to be a dip buying opportunity if we see it, but we may very well not. We might start to see this really take off towards the end of this week. But anyways, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks a lot for watching, and take care, and good luck trading earnings. See ya.